Humans get their food mostly from plants and animals. For humans and animals, getting food and most importantly nutrients is pretty easy, provided there is availability. For plants, however, it's a bit complicated. Khalid is in a desert, and here getting food is extremely difficult. There are a few grasses here and there, but there is nothing at all he could depend on as food for the time being. The thought of not having anything to eat and not having any means of eating terrified him. Plants are autotrophic, and that means they make their own food. Other than that, they also take the nutrients they need from the soil. Plants need nutrients to grow and survive. Plants need oxygen. Plants need carbon dioxide. And plants need water for photosynthesis, which they get from the air. But plants need nitrogen from the soil in order to make proteins for themselves. Plants also need magnesium from the soil for their chlorophyll production. This is essential because it is needed for photosynthesis to take place. Potassium is also a vital nutrient for growth and to boost the plant's immune system. Phosphorus is also a vital nutrient for plant growth and energy transfer. From the soil, they take up mineral nutrients in the form of ions. They use their roots to take up these nutrients. The means by which plants take up mineral ions could either be in passive transport or active transport. In passive transport, there could be a situation where the mineral ions are higher in concentration in the external soil than in the root. Then the ions in the soil solution will move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. This is known as the diffusion theory. But then for this to happen, channels such as protein channels are needed for the safe passage of these ions since they are charged, unlike their uncharged minerals that could easily be dissolved by the hydrophilic membrane on the root surface. There is another theory known as the ion exchange theory, where the cations are absorbed by the cell wall of the root surface due to its negative charge. The positively charged hydrogen atoms on the roots could easily be exchanged with cations of sodium and potassium. An anion such as hydroxyl could be exchanged with anions in the soil. In contact exchange theory, when ions are in contact, they could easily be exchanged between the ions on the root surface and the ions on, let's say, clay particles in the soil. In carbonic exchange theory, the respiration process that occurs in root cells where carbon dioxide is ejected could easily lead to the formation of bicarbonates, which easily exchanges ions and takes them into the root. There is also the Donan equilibrium theory, where if indiffusible cations or anions within the roots are accumulated, there will be an attraction of oppositely charged ions into the root. How these nutrients are formed are as a result of the weathering of parent rocks. This happens after these rocks have undergone some chemical and mechanical changes in time. These minerals are in absorbed form or dissolved form. However, there could also be active transport, where ions move from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration, and this requires energy, unlike in the passive transport, where there is no energy required. In active transport, we have two theories: the carrier concept theory and the electrochemical gradient theory. In the carrier concept theory, the movement of ions across the membrane of the root cells are mediated by protein, lecithin, and cytochromes. The carrier molecules binds with the ions outside, and thus the carrier molecules moves across the membrane and thereby release the ion into the cellular structure. In the electrochemical gradient theory, two things happen. Water molecules split into hydrogen and hydroxyl molecules, and then ATP, that's adenosine triphosphate, is broken down into ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and inorganic phosphate. The proton pumps out hydrogen ions while hydroxyl ions stay inside the cell. This makes the inside of the cell negatively charged. The positively charged hydrogen ions outside the cell becomes dominant, creating a proton motive force. Due to the hydrolysis of ATP within the cell, the positive ions within the cell are exchanged with negative ions outside the cell, not necessarily the hydrogen and the hydroxyl ions. So these minerals have been taken up by active transport and passive transport from the soil into the roots. Next, we will see how these nutrients move up the plant and then how the plant grows with them.